everybody, this is a video from my friend Brianna, who is going to start reborning. She has asked me to do a video lesson on mixing paints, so I'm going to do that. So let me get on the other side of the camera so I can explain how to do things. First of all, before we start, I want to describe some of my brushes. For detailing brushes, this is the one I use for detailing. I hope I'm not too close. I hope you can see this. It's a 10-0. And then this one I use for veining. And as you can see, it's blue tip because the blue dyes everything. And it's a 0. Then for tipping nails, I actually have a different brush that I use over here. This is the brush that I use for veining. And it's a 0, but it's actually had the hairs cut on it a bit. Here's my tipping brush. As you can see, this tipping brush, it's a 2. I like it very, very thin, but I also like it a little wide at the top. That's for tipping nails. And then here's another one that I use for doing the whole nail, glossing the nail. Okay, now let me go over my sponges with you, because we use sponges when we use the babies to do molding, modeling and molding, whatever you want to call it. And then we also use the sponges for doing different paints. This one's what we call a big modeling sponge. What you do is, as you can see, there are holes in this and it's dyed red. It's from the paint. You would take your tweezers and you would just take them and pull out pieces of your wedge sponges, big pieces, to make your big one. And that's how you would do your modeling sponge for your big one. You want one that's big, like this, just like this, just like this, okay? You want one like that, and you're only going to use that for your modeling paints. And then you want one that's small like this, okay? You do the same procedure, you just make it smaller. You don't pull as much out, and you make it smaller holes. So you do that with your tweezers and your cosmetic sponges. Okay, we are going to start doing the paints, and let me just go ahead and put them in the containers they're going to go by. Okay, I use yellow Genesis paint, and I use white titanium Genesis paint, and I use this for under the eyes of the babies. So what I do is I take my little brush here, and I take it and I rub it along the sides of the paint. The paint will last you forever, by the way, depending on how many babies you do, of course. You just want to get enough on the tip of your brush. This is Mona Lisa paint thinner. I got 2 of these bottles at Michael's craft store, and they are squeeze top bottles. I just put them in there because it's easier than having to use this big bottle all the time. I only brought it out to show you. Okay, what you want to do is you want to squirt this in, and I'm only using a little bit because I only use a little bit of the yellow anyways. You always want to use glass bowls, and you cannot consume food in them after you have used them because they're toxic, because these paints are very toxic. Okay, what you do is you put your brush against the bottom of the bowl like this, and you just slightly move it around until your consistency comes up a dense consistency, meaning that it's all smooth consistency. You don't want any little particles in there. You just want it to be smooth. And I'm going to have to start this one over. I will be right back. That brush had some pink in it. I'm sorry. I'll use this brush. Okay, start over. You'll rinse your little thing out. Get white back on your brush. A little more paint thinner in here. I do use a lot of thinner. What you're going to do is you're going to put the brush along the bottom of the paint thinner and the bowl, and you're going to mix it like this. It's going to look like a little bit of skim milk, but you want to make sure that the consistency is even and that it doesn't have any little pieces of paint left in it. I'm sorry, I'm a little nervous. I don't know why. Okay. Alright, kind of like that. You can almost see through this, but you can't quite. Then, when you do your yellow with this, because you always mix the white and the yellow together, you use very little yellow. In fact, if you want, it's the Genesis yellow. You can just go along the top, which I never use the same brush, so I'm going to change brushes here. You can go along the top to get the yellow paint off the top, which I don't think I have very much of, so I'm going to use my yellow in the bottle. And as you can see, I just put a little in here, and then you mix it in. And as you can see, the yellow's starting to come up. I will need a little more yellow than this, so just 1 second. Okay, as you can see, once again, just a little bit of yellow. Okay. And if you look at the color right now, it's an even yellow. It looks kind of like scrambled eggs. It's very good. If you look at the bottom there, if you can see that, I don't know if you can see it without me tipping it too much. Right there, there's some paint that's not mixed. So you need to make sure that all of it's mixed, because you don't want any clumps in your paint. You want it a nice, even consistency. Okay, so that's the yellow. When you're using the yellow, you don't need much of it. You're going to take the same brush you used for your yellow. You're going to take a cosmetic wedge, and you're going to slightly just do this. There's hair on it. You're just going to paint the tip of it like that. And then what you're going to do is you're going to dab it just like this, slightly. You can't even see it on my skin. You don't want to see it on the baby either. You just dab it like that onto the baby under the eyes. And you're going to do it just under the eyes, and that will make the consistency that you want. And that yellow brings out the eyes, and it gives it a little jaundice look so that the baby looks real. Okay, so that's the yellow. Then let's go to the baby skin. Okay. Your baby skin is Genesis paint also. You're just going to put a little bit of paint thinner in your bowl. You're going to take your brush. You want to use a little more paint than you did for the other stuff. As you can see, this paint actually is good for a very long time. I have used a lot of this paint for babies. And I have no intentions that I'm going to run out anytime soon. Okay, so this is how much I've got on there. I'm going to tilt the bowl a little bit, put it towards the back so that I can rub it against the bowl, and it's going to come up. You're actually going to have to watch this to see how much skin color you want to put in. This is too thin because I can almost see through this. Okay? See how it's a little watery? You don't want that. You want your skin color a little darker than that. So I'm going to get some more skin color on my paintbrush. Like that. Once again, I'm going to hold it at an angle, and I'm going to push it against the back of the bowl, and I'm going to mix it up and make sure that it's all mixed well together. We don't want any bumps. Any lumps, excuse me, bumps. Okay. And that's your baby skin color. You don't mix that with anything. Then we'll go to the veining, which I have a designated bowl for the veining.